This is the story of a king who never set foot on the land he owned, yet left millions dead in his name. He didn't use armies alone. He used greed, he used fear, and he turned an entire country into his personal nightmare factory. Imagine a country the size of Western Europe. Now imagine one man owning it. No parliament, no constitution, no law except his word. And in just 2 decades, he would turn that land into a slaughterhouse. 10 million lives erased. His name? Leopold II, King of Belgium, and history has been far too kind to him. Belgium was small. Leopold's ambitions were not. He looked at Britain, France, Spain, empires stretching across the globe, and he wanted one of his own. But Belgium was no military giant, so he needed a different weapon. Not armies, not cannons, lies. He wrapped himself in the language of civilization and philanthropy. He told the world he would bring schools, medicine, and progress to Africa. In 1884, the great powers met at the Berlin Conference to carve up Africa like a carcass. Leopold left the table with a prize no king had ever claimed before. Not a colony, not a protectorate. A personal possession, the Congo Free State, 76 times larger than Belgium, would belong to him and him alone. At first it seemed harmless, traders, explorers, missionaries. But then came the rubber boom. Every man in the Congo was ordered to collect wild rubber from the jungle. Not meeting the quota wasn't an option. Soldiers enforced the king's will with whips, rifles, and machetes. In Leopold's system, bullets were expensive. Each one had to be accounted for. So soldiers were ordered to prove they hadn't wasted ammunition. How? By bringing back a human hand for every bullet fired. Villages were burned, hostages were taken, children were mutilated in front of their parents, men were worked until they collapsed, then they were replaced. And always, the rubber flowed out of Africa into Leopold's pockets. The world began to hear whispers of the truth, but Leopold was ready. He built one of history's most effective propaganda machines. In Belgium, he funded charities, monuments, and hospitals. He was called the Builder King, the benevolent monarch. Newspapers published glowing accounts of his humanitarian work. Meanwhile, in the Congo, an entire people were being bled dry. Missionaries who spoke out were threatened. Whistleblowers vanished. The king's fortune grew to hundreds of millions in today's currency, all built on a mountain of corpses. It took years of relentless work from journalists like Edmund Dean Morel and the haunting reports of Roger Casement for the world to finally turn on Leopold. By 1908, the international outrage was impossible to silence. He was forced to hand the Congo over to the Belgian government. 2 years later, Leopold was dead. His final words were not an apology, not a confession, but a bitter complaint. Historians estimate 10 million Congolese died under his rule, perhaps more. The scars remain in the land, in the people, in the silence of school books that rarely mention his name. In Belgium, his statue still stands. In the Congo, his shadow never left. This was not a footnote in history. This was a Holocaust. And if you think Leopold was the worst, history has far darker names waiting in the shadows. Next time, Frame in Dark opens another chapter in the Book of Monsters.